All right, so last but not least, let's talk about Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And Ricardo, if you don't mind, I just want you to do the synopsis for this, right? So
Sure.
this was supposed to be screened during fandom, but
Right.
they canceled last minute, right? So it came out on VOD actually today at the time of recording here, so
Right.
managed to check it out. And yeah, this is like the latest Warner Animation / DC movie. It's about Superman himself. I'm not sure. Well, okay, so I'll confess something. Um, I I I just kind of went. I'm not sure if it's based off of an actual story arc or series or whatever it is, but I just kind of treated it as, oh, this is another Superman movie. But what I got just off the title alone, that okay, we're gonna kind of explore the myth of Superman, so well, why he is who he is, right? Just off the title, Man of Tomorrow, like, oh, you know, so that for the most part is what I got from this show here.
Right.
I have my own thoughts on the film itself, but I will get to that once you share yours after you do the synopsis. So, Ricardo, take it away. What is Superman, Man of Tomorrow about?
Right. So it's we're doing a little reset of the Superman story. But they just tell the story from the perspective of Clark on Earth as a kid, and then he grows up, and they focus on the aesthetic and the makeup of and the narrative of just being an alien, right?
Yes.
It's very if you know, it's very there's a lot of inspiration from Superman American Alien in this, which is a solid comic. I don't love it, but it's good. That's Max Landis.
All right.
Yeah, and they just do basically the story of, well, what it is to be an alien on Earth, and him. So they open with which is a surprisingly good and touching scene where is a show that demonizing aliens, and then he kind of gets upset over that,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
I love that choice
yeah,
of opening the
yeah,
film with that. That was great.
yeah, I like that. And then so they have him being ignorant of who he was, and then eventually they give him this little, like a kind of a holocron type device that basically is the Kryptonian, database, about his life and whatnot. He doesn't know anything about it, and then they just kind of just retell Superman's story of him or his origin story. That's it. But they decide
Yeah,
to bring in some extra little wrinkles in a different way. So they tell it in a different way of him learning about his life. So they have Martian Manhunter be the one to have him unlock his secrets, and then they bring in Lobo, who drop some information about him, and then they basically the first main villain is the Parasite. They have
yes.
as the story, and what they did, they have characters who I shocked that they have Judd. Um, what's that character? Ron Troop. If you know who that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Ron Troop, like, is a really obscure, like, DC character. Like, in my opinion.
Like
Here's the
how
thing.
much times we're gonna see Jimmy Olsen or a black Jimmy Olsen, right?
But that's the
Let's
thing.
bring in
That's the thing.
somebody new.
Right, that's the thing. I felt the character should have been Ron Troop, but it's like the character from Supergirl is really a mix-up of Ron Troop and Jimmy Olsen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's more they just use a bunch of Ron Troop stuff for the character now, because in the storyline they had him together with Lucy Lane in things. So I was like, oh yeah, Ron Troop, right? It's very Ron Troop. Yeah, they straight up had Ron Troop in this. So like, what? Little side character, great little things. This for me started strong, right? I thought it started pretty strong, and then it kind of faltered at the end there. Mostly because I felt it had one too many characters, and the character they should have cut out of this was Lex Luthor. Kind of hated Lex Luthor in this. Like, sorry.
I would admit he was like, I understand why he has to be there. It's because I mean he's yin and yang basically, right? Especially
No,
like if you want to talk about Superman, but at the same time it's
right.
like he doesn't really do much.
I hated
He didn't need to be in the show, to be honest.
exactly. I hated that they set him up as a villain, because if he just served a purpose, it would have been fine. But
Right.
they
Yeah, I
outright,
agree.
yeah, they decided to have you as the villain at the end. And like, what? Why? Dumb. It
Yeah.
was,
Well,
and it come
because he's Lex Luthor, man. But
right.
still,
It was a little
is why we like. Sorry to cut you, but why what we love about Lex Luthor is that he could be a hero at times too.
right.
So why,
And I
given the
felt
circumstance, to just make him a villain, outright
right.
villain?
I hated that. I hated that. And I felt they could have done a better arc with Rudy and Clark, because Rudy get corrupted by the thing, he became Parasite, and I felt they could have done something better with it. Why is this called Man of Tomorrow? Right?
That's a
Hello?
good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really reference Man of Tomorrow. It doesn't reference Clark as some kind of symbol of the future or anything like that. I thought it was going to be about Clark and Lex, because that's kind of the whole Man of Tomorrow narrative, where who represents the Man of Tomorrow, Clark or Lex, right?
Mhm.
They didn't really do anything with that. So I felt, and I didn't mind if they had Parasite as a central villain, because they could have done the thing where Parasite is ultimately a good guy, and like because he absorbs Superman powers, but he also Superman absorbs Superman goodness, and like he would have sacrificed himself at the end. And they kind of did that, but it was a little clumsy. I'm not sure. I like that Marsha Manhunter was in this. He actually served a good role in it.
Yes, yes,
Lois
yes.
was on, Lois was on the fence about it for me. I didn't really feel her, but she was okay. I don't know. It started strong, but it's a shame that they couldn't have gel it together a little better for me. I didn't hate it, but it was. I just wish that they wrapped it up and had the narrative a little more better. Especially with Clark's narrative and who he is as a good person. They could have done a better job with that, but they kind of effed it up at the end there. But it was fine.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is production. Animation kind of looked like trash at times. Like they had some moments like, ugh, this look unfinished.
All right. So I will
Yeah.
use animation to jump into my review, right? So I didn't mind the animation. For the most part, it has a slight anime feel to it.
No, the art style looked fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's the actual animation itself. It's like, what's going on here? Why is moving
Yeah,
so? Yeah.
there's a few moments though where I noticed where it's like, okay, y'all could have fixed this up though. Like I know we work in frames, but come on, man, it's
Yeah.
one animation. Man. Come on.
Right.
But yeah, the art style is different, right? I would say compared to
Right.
what I've seen with these, Warner films, right? Animated films. Voice acting was decent for the most part. Didn't know up until the end that Zachary Quinto was playing Lex Luthor. Actually, dug his
Right. Yeah.
voice. Um, and one thing where I think the show really is strong is its theme, right? Basically about alien being an alien, right? There's a lot of like references, like we said before, with the show that Clark watches at the beginning, to
Yeah.
how aliens were looked at, back in the 50s or in the space age and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
even with the villain of Parasite, there's a moment where I'll talk about that in a bit, where he becomes monstrous, and I was thinking, oh, this is kind of like a Godzilla kind of reference here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where at first he's this evil thing that represents the nuclear age, but all of a sudden now with the other films he becomes this hero. You know what I mean? Got that kind of vibe now. But you might think of it as, oh, well, we didn't see him like that before, because he's just this tall, creepy monster, right? So
Yeah.
I dug that, right? And I dug, emotionally where the show is going to with Clark trying to, own his own identity, really accept the fact that yes, he's an alien, but he isn't here to, take over the world and all that kind of stuff. He's here
Right.
to do good, right? He just has to kind of find that out. I love that, Martian Manhunt of all people had to be the one to kind of show him that. But here, unfortunately, though, where the show falters is at the end of the day, it's like okay, like all right, fine, you're doing the emotional stuff. We get it, you know what I mean? We want to feel for Clark Kent, right? We want to feel for Superman, and we do. But I felt like it's still a Superman movie. You have to give us the goods. Like we go in
Yeah.
expecting action. I'm not saying it should be tons of action, but like I felt like for the second half of the second act leading up to the third act,
Yeah.
sorry, lead up to the ending to that, there wasn't really much going on though. I should say
Right.
Superman doesn't really do much. He just becomes overpowered. I don't want to say how,
Right.
and it's almost like everybody else. Well, the other main characters have to kind of step in for him, and he does a thing. And it's like, okay, I get it, but that's like the last thing he does before the villain is quote unquote defeated. But it's like as a
Right.
Superman film, like you're supposed to go in and do the thing that we can expect it to do, not kind of talk a person out of it like it's some kind of negotiator. Like, come on, right? But I
Right.
get where they're coming
No,
from message wise, but still it's like,
I didn't have
dude,
a I didn't have a problem with that, because it's like, well, Superman being a good guy and negotiating instead of using violence. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is that they still could have played it out a little differently. Like Parasite could have take Superman powers and then like touch the thing and then fly up in space because remember they're doing the sun thing now. Remember they
Right.
keep making a big reference to the sun thing, and they didn't do that. Like they could have done that at the end, or Martian Manhunter could have taken Superman and fly him in space or something like that. Now. People is kind of not using their powers too intelligently. Now. It's stuff like that that just kind of bothers
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. And as you say that, right? Now, what would have made it work is that okay, well, this is early Superman, so eventually at a point in time, you would see Superman the way he is. You know what I mean? He's
Right,
confident, he's cocky, he could handle himself, he knows how to use his powers, he knows not to get anybody in trouble or whatnot, in danger. Sorry, but you don't really get that. It's just he just becomes overpowered by this thing, and he does something, and well, and just not to spoil anything, but like even the villain itself, how he is stopped. They kind of tried to spin it like, oh, he had a little bit of consciousness in him, so he made
right.
this ultimate sacrifice. But no, it didn't really feel that way. It just felt like
That's the
he
problem
was doing
because
the
yeah,
thing,
it was
and then it just
exactly.
backfired. You know what I mean?
Because it was
That's what happened.
unclear to me. It was unclear to me if he was either sacrificing himself or he was attracted to the energy. Like,
It was
right,
clearly the latter. It was clearly the latter, but they play
right,
it off like, oh
and
well, he had some goodness in him. I'm like, no.
right, yeah, that,
And then
it
and
was
then
clumsy.
and then
It was
and then,
real clumsy.
and then is it just me, right? So forgive me, another DC nerd. And the only reference I know of Parasite is the Superman animated series, which I
Right,
grew up on. But since when Parasite could grow this big and monstrous,
that is
and
the
they never
problem. Okay,
established it
so
too. They never established it too because
no, okay,
early
so
on you saw
Parasite,
him. Just one second, like early on you see him acquiring powers, like but there was you saw like you see like that you see like his body will kind of morph a little bit, but he
right,
never grew in size. And
that
lo and
big. Yeah,
behold,
I
jump
agree.
just skip something, and then lo and behold,
Yeah,
he's this Godzilla type character. Like what?
yeah, I find it. I don't like that they make him too big in the end, and that doesn't make any sense. I find they could have gel.
Sorry to continue one last second. Sorry, but that one. But I get okay. Alien monster, the Godzilla reference. I
Right.
get it. I get it. Set piece. I get it. But still, how did he get so damn huge? They
Yeah,
never say.
that
Yeah.
I
So yeah.
never. It's implied that he does suck up a certain energy over time, but yeah, I never really get him as a character that big. I find it was really clumsy how they handle the story in that sense. It's real
Yeah.
clumsy. Yeah, go ahead.
And overall, though, well, sorry, not overall, but and also while I do like the emotional moments, I like the quiet moments. It does kind of slow the story down a bit, and you're kind of thinking that certain things are going to add up to something. Like case in point, Clark's relationship with Lewis. Like Lewis comes off as someone who feels that people of power have a lot to hide and whatnot, but they never really like end her arc. Really, it's just that she's just on the sidelines while Superman does his thing. But they had something interesting with her, and then also with her wanting to meet with Superman, but that kind of falls flat. Don't want to see what happens there. And then also with the character of Lobo, who I didn't see coming in this one.
Right.
While I do like the character of Lobo, I do like the
Yeah.
wisecracking badassery of him. They could have picked anybody else to be in this. Like I just felt like
I felt right.
you like he just felt like okay, like since the show is going for emotion, right? Like what I would say as a whole is that this show is clearly for Superman purists, people who
Right.
who love the character and kind of see themselves in that character. Like, oh, you know, what I mean, we have purpose, and you know, we could do things with our abilities and stuff like that. That's clearly the message and the audience they're going for. But when you're bringing a character like Lobo, I just expected to see like badass fights and whatnot. I don't really get that. He's just there to do stuff really, you know what I mean? Like when I see Lobo, I expected to see some like really dope species stuff. Like I'll never forget the I think it's like a 2 or 3 parter basically where in the Superman animated series where we introduce a Lobo and we're in this kind
Right.
of what was this kind of zoo kind of thing, like this
Yeah, yeah,
guy was
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
picking all these
The
aliens and had them in
collector,
this
yeah,
the
a
collector
collector
thing.
character. I forget the character's name, yeah.
Yeah. Like if it was something like that that happened in space and you see a bit
Right.
of Lobo's world and where he comes from, like cool, but you just kind of drop him there to just be there basically. Like Martian Manhunter, I understand, I totally understand. He's part
Right.
of the Justice League and all that kind of stuff. But Lobo just felt a little out of place, man, for me.
I agree,
Yeah,
yeah. I agree.
but as a whole, I get where they're coming from message wise. And it's a really strong message, and it really does kind of show you why the character Superman is so relevant. You know what I mean today, and you know what I mean they had in the right place, right? But at the same time, Yeah, yeah, you have to kind of entertain us, man. You have to kind of explain certain things, and you have to give us some more Superman stuff. Not like I get this is early Superman and he's learning and stuff, but at least give us a moment because you don't get
Right.
that. Admittedly, like thinking about it, you don't even get a moment where it's like, yes, I am Superman and this is what I can do. You don't even get that. It's just let me do this thing to try to save this character, and he does a thing, and let the movie make you believe that he did this like one last act. You know what I mean? As a way to redeem himself, where actually no, he just was on pure animalistic rage or whatever you want to call it. So it really does kind of fall apart near the end. But you're
Yeah.
right, Ricardo. It starts off really really strong and a dog what they're going for with his teams and whatnot, but just it just couldn't. It just kind of didn't succeed totally in being a Superman movie that you kind of come to expect. Like it was trying to be something a little bit different, but it kind of didn't really do it all that well, in my opinion, right? So, um, not the best thing in the world, not the worst thing in the world. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. It's
Right.
fine. It's not one of the best Superman movies I've seen, but I imagine if you are a Superman purist, you'll find much appreciate here. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
rating wise, I give this a lighter, decent 3 out of 5. It's high for what it is. It's alright.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really, really is a story that needed a lot of fixing up, though.
Right. I find it was really clumsy coming down to the end. There. It's a shame that they couldn't like make the writing a little better because it start okay. I thought it start okay. All
Yeah,
that stuff was leading up to the first half, first act, second act. Part of the second act was pretty good. All the stuff with him and Manhunter was pretty good. And then
yeah,
they
but
just
but the
kind of
payoff just wasn't worth it, man.
right, yeah, it was kind of weak. I think. Yeah, for me, 6 out of 10. It was. As I said, it's a shame they kind of make a little punching up of the script and make it work now, but they just kind of drop the ball at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they had something going with this, man. They really did, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? If you're a fan of these, if you're a fan of the one animated shows, if you're a fan of Superman, yeah, give it a look. You'll appreciate the attention to character that they give, Clark Kent and Superman here. But if you enjoy Superman for the fights and whatnot, for the action, for the rock'em sock'em moments, basically, yeah, you'll be very disappointed with what we get here. But
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. Right? So on to the next one.
Right.